guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, then welcome back. If you're brand new and you've only just come across my channel, then hello and welcome along. If you do consider yourself a regular, then thank you so much for bearing with me while I sort out my space. So I've set up a new sort of bookish area, a new sort of sacred space, I suppose, and I've got this lovely new tapestry as well. If you follow me on Instagram, then you've probably already seen that, but I'm really happy with it, and I'm really happy with my little setup at the moment. So that's sort of what I've been doing, and I've also been in a huge reading slump, so I've just not felt like reading anything for over a month now, I would think. So I've not been reading any of my witchy books. I've not really been doing any tarot or oracle reading, so I've not really been able to review those, but I've slowly been getting back into it now that my space is sorted. So hopefully you should have a lot more book reviews coming your way. So like I said, thank you so much for bearing with me. So moving on to today then, what better way to get back into these reviews than with the amazing and the beautiful Seasons of the Witch Beltane Oracle. Now, I was lucky enough to be sent a copy of this deck by Simon and Schuster on behalf of Rockpool Publishing in exchange for this review, and I have had it since almost the beginning of the year, so we've literally just gone into April now, and I've had it since the beginning of the year, so I feel so bad that I've had this on my shelf and I've not reviewed it, but I've finally got to it. So depending on when I actually get to edit this video and when it comes out, will depend on when the deck is available, when it's out, but at the moment it's available for pre-order. So all the bookish stores, all the bookstores, wherever you get your books from, should be able to get you in a copy of this. So Amazon, and in the UK we have Waterstones and things, but any bookstore that you go to should be able to get you a copy. So like I said, it's available for pre-order. In the UK, let me just double check, I did write it down. So in the UK, it comes out on the 31st of March, so it's actually out as I say this in the UK, but I think it's due out in April the 11th, around about, in the US, so you may be still waiting for your copy in the US. However, we will all have it in time for Beltane and in time for May Day, so do not worry. If you don't know much or anything about the Seasons of the Witch Oracles, then I'm just going to give you a little bit of a quick introduction to them. So it is a series of oracle decks that were created by Lorriane, Juliet, Diaz, and the beautiful illustrations are by Giada Goodman. So it did start with the Samhain Oracle, so this one, the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle, and then after this one came the Yule Oracle, so this one, Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle, and then obviously the latest release is the one that we are reviewing today, which is the Beltane Oracles. So the decks do feature different themes and different ideas and different symbols that represent each of the Sabbats that they are about, basically. Now, I did do an unboxing of the Yule Oracle last year, in which I also compared it to the Samhain Oracle. So if you're interested in either of these decks, then please do check out that review, because it definitely gives you a good overview of both of these decks. It looks at sort of the similarities and the differences. Maybe you feel a little bit more of a connection with these Sabbats, and you're looking for a place to start with this series, so check out that review and it should definitely give you an idea. However, if you are in the Northern Hemisphere like me, then you may be very much enjoying lighter mornings and longer evenings, and the clocks have recently gone forward here in the UK as well, so we're already welcoming back the sun. So if you're still feeling those vibes like I am, then the Beltane Oracle might be exactly what you need right now. It's got such a beautiful, bright vibe to it. So let's get on with the review of this one then. I'm not going to go too much into the creators of this deck, just because I did that in my last video. If you are interested in a little bit more of an in-depth bio of these authors, then definitely check out that review. At the moment, I'm just going to give you a really quick update on each of the creators for this particular deck. Starting with Lorriane Anderson, she is a tarot reader, astrologer, spiritual teacher, writer, a soul-based entrepreneur. She lives in LA and runs Spirit Element, Made with Stardust and School of Sacred. Some of her other works, her other oracle decks include Affirmations, Words of Inner Wisdom, the Earthcraft Oracle, and Happiness, Words of Inner Joy. Moving on to Juliet Diaz, she is a bruja, a seer and spiritual activist. She created the Love Juliet & Co brand and online membership community. Her other works include witchery, plant witchery, and her most recent and what she considers her most important work, The Altar Within, which I am desperately interested in reading, but I still haven't managed to get myself a copy yet. That is definitely on my list. Last but not least, Giada Rose Goodman is the illustrator of this series. She's a watercolour artist with a very distinctive style that explores nature, femininity, magic, folklore and mythology. So as I already mentioned, the Beltane Oracle is the third in this series, and on the back of the box it reads, "Unlock your potential for growth, creativity and abundance with the energy of Beltane." Also known as May Day, Beltane honours life and is a celebration of passion and putting your plans into action. The Earth's energies are at the strongest and most active, and all of life is bursting with potent fertility. At this point in the Wheel of the Year, your potential can be unleashed. These cards align with your energy, helping you to unlock your inner wisdom with the help of powerful spiritual forces. Along with thoughtful meanings are invocations or powerful word spells to invoke the energy of each card and to send your intentions of spiritual well-being out into the universe. After that little unboxing, I think it's only right that we start with the overall look and general aesthetics of the cards. As with the other two, the illustrations are absolutely beautiful and stunning. I think the illustrations that Giada Rose has done are just perfect for Beltane. The colours and the themes just perfectly capture the season and everything that Beltane represents. The backs of the cards as well are sort of a yellowy gold colour, so rather than the hands that the other two cards features, we've got these lovely little bees on there, which I think, like I said, perfect for Beltane, and I think I do prefer these little bees to the hands that the other decks had, but absolutely stunning, beautiful cards, and it's got the the beautiful gold edges on there as well. I did do a little bit of a flip through of some of the images on these cards, so hopefully you know what I mean about this deck just helping you get ready for those warmer months. And I know that it makes me long for sort of the warm summer days and the time when the flowers are starting to bloom. It just really captures that vibe. I do want to try and look at this deck as a standalone deck, so as an oracle deck within itself, but some comparison to the others might just slip in there because I am used to the other decks as well, and I will sort of notice the similarities and the differences. As usual, because with the other two decks it's exactly the same, the guidebook is extremely detailed. It gives you a little bit of an introduction about the deck, some different ways that you might want to use it. So for example, how to use the cards. You might want to do some invocations. It's got some ideas for using the cards other than on Beltane or around Beltane. You could use them as daily guidance cards or daily reflection cards, intention cards, altar cards. So all the ways that you maybe would already use tarot or oracle decks, but if you're not familiar with it, then it just gives you some really nice ideas of how to start using this deck. The guidebook does also give you some spreads to try for different readings. So it starts with an interviewing your deck spread, so just getting to know the deck and the cards. The usual 3-card spread, so for a past, present and future reading or other variations on that. It also has the Celtic cross spread, which for this one they've called the Beltane cross spread. So this spread does feature in the other two decks, but they have tweaked it slightly to suit each Sabbat. But if you're used to oracle and tarot readings, then you've probably come across that spread a lot before. So the thing that I really love about these decks is the other spreads that they include, so the new ones that they've made for that specific oracle deck. So for example, they've got the Maypole spread, which is for shifting perspectives. We've got the Flower Crown spread for clarity in difficult times. The Self-Worship spread, which is for understanding your gifts. The Goddess spread for finding the right path. There is one more as well, the Creation spread, which is for starting something new. So I just really love the idea that they've created different spreads that really help you to get the most out of this deck, and the themes and the ideas that it covers. So the themes of each spread really suits the themes of Beltane. I don't know how many times I'm going to say themes, but it's just I can't think of another word right now. But yeah, so hopefully you can see how it just ties everything into the particular Sabbath and the particular season. In order to review the deck thoroughly, I do like to do a few of the spreads that are in the book, just to get an idea of how the cards work together, how the spreads work, and just a general feel for the deck. So for my first reading, I decided to try the last spread in the book, which was the Creation spread for starting something new. Now I was drawn to another one in the book, the Maypole spread, because it looks at things that are part of your life that maybe you need to be more grateful for, or it just helps you think more positively about what you have and where you are in your life. So I do think that that is one that I'm going to eventually get to, but for now the Creation spread just really stood out to me because something did come to mind straight away when I saw that, and I thought that would be the best one to start with. So I don't want to share too much about the reading itself that I did, sort of the content, because I do feel like it was actually a really personal reading for me. The things that I was asking about and the questions that I was putting forward for that particular spread are sort of very personal things. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview of how I felt while using that spread and while using the cards. When I started to turn the cards over for this spread, I did sort of look at them individually, and I immediately felt really calm about the reading, and it just sort of created quite a warm and comforting vibe, if that makes sense. The symbols and the themes of the cards immediately connected to me and to the question that I'd posed to each of those cards. So sometimes you can look at the cards in a tarot reading or an oracle reading, and when they appear you might not immediately know what it's trying to tell you or what it's trying to communicate. You probably have to consult a guidebook, but with this one there was just sort of an instant feeling of knowing what the reading wanted to tell me. I still did consult the guidebook because I really love the in-depth explanations that this deck provides. There's just something about Lorriane and Juliet's words that I find so comforting and thought-provoking. They really help you to explore the question that you've asked and the situation that you're exploring in a lot of detail. They do offer some really lovely guidance, and this is something that I've just come to expect from all of these decks now. I feel the same about all of them, no matter which one you choose. If you've not used them before, I'm sure that you will really be able to get something out of them. So at first I wasn't sure whether I would connect with this deck as much as I did the others, because the other Sabbats just resonate a lot more with me, but once I actually started using this one, working with it and exploring the themes, I realised that it actually come at the right time for me and where I am in my life right now. So the ideas it explores are just perfect for this time in my life and my current experiences. So obviously that is a very personal thing, and I can't promise that everyone is going to feel like that about this deck. So at the moment, yes, I do really resonate with this one and I do really enjoy using it, but for you, maybe you'll resonate with one of the other ones a lot more. Time for some final thoughts on this deck then. I know one thing for sure, if you have either or both of the other two decks, then you are definitely going to love this one as well. It fits perfectly into the series, but it is unique enough to stand on its own and to represent Beltane. And that's just what I love about these decks. They follow that similar style with Giada Rose's illustrations and the words from Lorriane and Juliet, and yet the themes and the overall vibe are just so individual and so unique. It's also worth noting as well that you don't have to stick to using them during the Sabbat that they represent. If anything, I think I personally would choose a deck depending on the situation and the things that I wanted to ask about, because they do explore different aspects of our lives depending where we are in our life, if that makes sense. So for example, Yule is about endings and it has vibes that are related to the frost and the cold and sort of the end of a life cycle, whereas the new Beltane one is very much about new beginnings and waking up and just brightness and the vibrancy of life. So basically what I'm trying to say, I suppose, is that the themes and the ideas within each deck just are so in tune with the season and the time of year that they represent. I do also want to mention that there is a little QR code in the back of the guidebook for some bonus extra material. I did scan it to try and sort of add it to this review, but it wasn't live at the moment, so unfortunately I can't really tell you much about the extra content or anything because, like I said, it's not gone live, but I just wanted to let you know that it was there. So if you do get the deck, just make sure you check that out as well. I don't feel like I have any negatives about this deck or any of the other decks in this series. I just really do adore them and I love using them. One thing that does make me a little bit sad is that the back of the guidebook for the Beltane Oracle, it doesn't actually tell you what the next one in the series is going to be. In the Yule one, it did say that obviously the Beltane one would be the next one in the series, but as soon as I got this one, I flipped to the back of the book to find out what the next one was going to be, and alas, it wasn't there. They weren't going to tell me. So I suppose it just means they can build up the suspense a little bit more and do a big reveal later as to what the next one is going to be. Please leave your guesses in the comments as to what Sabbat you think they are going to do next. So personally, I think they're going to do Lugnassad or Lammas, whichever one you want to call it. I don't know why, I just feel like that would be the next choice, but you know, it could be any really. So yeah, let me know which one you think it's going to be. Okay, that's it for today's review, guys. Thank you, like I said, for coming back to my channel. I hope that you enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next one.